Alright, man, peace. So, brothers, well over a year ago, I started a series on my YouTube channel called Ecclesiasticus 3 and 5. And in that initial entry into that series, it was featuring Mr. Kyrie Irving, at the time the star point guard of the Boston Celtics, and his dad. Because Kyrie Irving decided, along with Nike Incorporated, to create a commercial in which Kyrie Irving appeared to be thanking his father for his accolades and his success within his life. And I thought that it was very important to chronicle that commercial and the sentiment of that commercial, because there's a concerted effort being made in the modern Western civilization, quote unquote civilization that we live in, to consistently try to marginalize the masculine principle and the role of the father. And the reason why that's done is because they want to accentuate the quote unquote feminine principle, the mother goddess aspect. Once you follow after the woman, it's going to make you far easier to manipulate, because you're going to start to lead with your emotions. And we see this phenomenon pervade so many so-called black households today. Well, in volume 2 of this series, it's going to be featuring Mr. Marlon Humphreys, the star, maybe soon to be superstar cornerback of the Baltimore Ravens. He decided that he also was going to give his father, former running back Bobby Humphrey, credit for his success in life. And it's so important that so-called black men not just quote unquote be there, but be guides and teachers in their sons' lives. That's why I state that, in my view, the so-called black man should not even be looking to have a child, to procreate, until he's around his early to mid 30s at the earliest. Because that's when you truly start to understand life, assuming that you were not given proper instruction during your childhood, which so many so-called black boys are not. They're not taught anything. The mindset of the modern liberal black female is, I'm going to procreate with a man that I find physically attractive. And if he's fortunate enough to have been blessed with an appropriate brain to be able to make money, then even better. But either way, I can run him off because the government will have my back. Once again, this notion that the modern day black female is not protected is nonsense. But just getting back to the point, you as a so-called black man have to understand why you're having a child, and why you're having it with the person that you're having it with. Because the average female, not just so-called black female, but female in general, they're going to have a baby with a dude because he has nice eyes, or his hairline is nice. Ridiculous nonsense like that. You have to know why you're doing what you're doing. And it's very difficult for the average so-called black man to make appropriate decisions about relationships until he's in his early to mid 30s, because he's not being instructed properly. Either he's being raised in one of these black matriarchal households, or the man that's in the household is not a man, it's a male, and he's a simp. And he's not instructing his son appropriately. But every once in a while we get situations like this, where you have a standout success, like a Marlon Humphreys, who goes out of his way to thank his dad. That's very important, that we restore the patrilineal descent from the so-called black man to his son. That's going to be the first step towards empowerment, because once we renew that, and of course also renew the bond between ourselves and the Most High, that's going to initiate an alleviation of some of the issues that pervade the so-called black community while we're still here behind enemy lines in this construct called America, because that's all it is a construct. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
An awesome segment. I cannot wait for this. Maybe you've heard the news this week about Marlon Humphrey, the Baltimore Ravens cornerback, who signed a $99 million 5-year contract extension this week, and had such an emotional response to it when he addressed the media, was thanking his father. Well, I'm going to play you the clip of Marlon now so you see it, but I want to tease to you that we spoke to Marlon's father, who was a former NFL player himself, a damn good one too, a Pro Bowler. And
I remember him too, man. That's when you know you're starting to get old, when you can remember the daddy of a player who's in the league today. I remember Bobby Humphrey.
Get his reaction to Marlon.
The funny thing is, that haircut is in style today. The damn high top fade with that's nappy on top and the two parts on the side, that shit is in today.
Reaction. But first, here's how Marlon reacted when he was talking about his life-changing contract, generational wealth. Take a look.
My dad's, even though at a young age, he's really, dang. And my dad.
That's going to happen sometimes, man. Life goes by so fast. And you get to certain points where you start to see situations materialize that your parents told you about. that your father told you about, that your mother told you about. And when you see those situations start to materialize and the information that they gave you is applicable and it's working, the hard work that you were encouraged to engage in is working, you might get emotional because you're like, damn, not only was I guided appropriately, but many times the Most High will put you in positions where you can evaluate where you are in life in comparison to or in juxtaposition to someone else that you knew who did not have the guidance that you had, and you can see the difference between where you are and where that person is at. And all you can do is attribute the credit to your parents. That's why it's so important to be a strong parent that can teach something. If you have a child as a young so-called black man in this society at 22 or 23 years old, 99 times out of 100, you don't have anything to teach them. That's why you have to take your time. Now, there are certain brothers out there who are exceptions to the rule. You might be 21, 22 years old and have all your shit in order and have knowledge out the wazoo. You know, you might be like rivers of living water, like Christ days. Who knows? But 99 times out of 100, you don't know shit about life. You're still following behind every fat ass that is walking past you. You're allowing women to make you believe that they're going to be with you because they're infatuated with you at the moment. Infatuation does not last. Please make sure that you have your priorities in order, that being number one, the Most High. Number two, the accrual, the accumulation of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, both celestially and also terrestrially. You have to make sure that your knowledge is on point terrestrially so that you can make money. If you can't make money, you cannot provide. If you can't provide, you cannot be a father. Bottom line. Bottom line, you can't be a man if you can't provide for yourself. So all these things have to be in order before you decide to procreate with a woman. Because no matter what the woman says, all that lovey-dovey, all that bullshit is going to go out the window once she no longer is infatuated. So make sure that you're protecting yourself by making appropriate decisions in order.
I mean, Lon, he's really, he's
Because what happens is you make these children you can't take care of, you can't teach anything to, and they end up running the streets and becoming the bane of the so-called black community. They're bitter and mad at the world because no one taught them a fucking thing. That's why it's important to talk about these issues. You understand? Because bad decisions that others make is going to affect you down the line because we're all living together.
Since I was young, I told my dad I wanted to play in the NFL, and he never really let me slip. My dad's been so much more than a father. He coached me as a kid. He's really, been, he's actually been my everything for me along with my mom. And so I really thank him a lot for what he's done. And I know he'll continue to be a great father to me. And, hopefully one day I get a family I can treat my sons and my daughters the way my dad has treated me and my brothers and sisters.
Oh my.
That's the greatest compliment that a man can receive, especially when you get older, is that your children look at you in that way, that they want to mimic what you did in raising them. So kudos to Bobby Humphrey.
God, I want my son to talk about me like that one day.
Hopefully after he gets a $100 million contract.
I know. That amazing. His father, of course, was Bobby Humphrey, who played 4 years in the NFL. He was a Pro Bowler. He was a running back for the Broncos, played with the Dolphins as well. Had almost 700 carries for around 3,000 yards and about 15 touchdowns during his career. The point is, he was a pretty damn...
See, these are the type of so-called black men that should be extolled and commemorated, not Jacob Blake and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. No disrespect to those brothers, but they were fuck-ups. The mainstream liberal media wants to propagate the energy and the imagery of the black male fuck-up to make not only the other races, but also the so-called black race believe that this is the standard of propriety. This is the standard of manhood. Dudes who are mentally inept and make terrible decisions at all times, and yet we should still view them as victims instead of focusing on people like Bobby Humphrey.
athlete.
Yeah.
And when his son Marlon Humphrey decided he wanted to play football, his father, helped him get to the pro level. He was a star at Alabama. He's only 24 years old now, but back, like you were saying, he killed it last season in the NFL.
Yeah, not only a Pro Bowler, and look, he only came into the league 2017, but he was not only a Pro Bowler last year, was first-team All-Pro, was one of...
First-team All-Pro. As already stated, he's on his way to being a superstar. For you to be first-team All-Pro in the NFL at cornerback, especially in this day and age, where they barely allow you to touch the wide receiver, that means that your skill set is now for real. You have to have great feet, especially in today's NFL, to guard the wide receivers because they don't let you touch them.
The best corner in the league. This guy is such a stud.
So I was out yesterday, but Babcock and the TMZ Sports team decided that they were so moved by this video, they decided to reach out to Bobby for a reaction, and they did. They spoke with Bobby, and here is Bobby's reaction. By the way, incredible job, you guys. I really mean that.
This is a very nice photo right here. And as he's already stated, it's very obvious that Bobby Humphrey has done an exemplary job raising his sons and his daughters. Everybody here is smiling, including the wife. So that's a testament to how successful he's been as a father and a husband. So God bless him and his family.
This is great, great stuff. Here's Bobby's reaction to that video we just watched.
I was just at odds. I just didn't really think that he thought of me that way, and
so that makes it even better. He was able to receive his flowers before he's gone. There's nothing wrong with you telling your parents that you love them every time that you speak to them. Assuming that they did their job, you should be telling them that every time you speak to them. I remember one time I was on the phone with my mother, and at the end of the conversation I said, "Okay, Ma, I love you, I'll talk to you later." And the person who was there, the female who was there, said, "Oh wow, you tell your mother that you love her at the end of every conversation?" I said, "Of course, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't you? There's only two people who, if they're doing their job, have sacrificed their entire life for you. That's your father and your mother. Most of these women gonna come and go for whatever reason. So you better make sure that you attribute the appropriate credit to the people who deserve it while they're still here."
I didn't realize the impact that I had made on him. And most importantly, as a father, as any parent, you really want to know if your children are really listening to you, because oftentimes
And sometimes parents get older and they're not even sure if their children love them. Because when the children are young, they're being told things that they have to do. But once they get older, it's like, okay, do you understand the reason why you were told these things? And the way that you show that you understand why you were told these things is, number one, following what your parents said to the best of your ability, assuming that what they told you was correct. And number two, giving them their thanks while they're here that they deserve.
Are they listening? Do they hear what I'm saying to them? And here it is. He come for a circle and said, he remember all these things I told him back all those years ago. I just started tearing up. And
sometimes I'll be on the phone with my pops and I can recount things that happened when I was 2 years old, 3 years old, and he'll be like, "I have no idea how the hell you remember that stuff. I don't remember most of what you're talking about." But once again, a lot of times fathers and mothers, but for the sake of this video, we're talking about fathers, they don't understand the impact that they're making with their child, especially when their child is going through seminal phases in their life. Extremely impactful. Things that you'll never forget as a son or what have you as you come of age.
You're just amazed that kids do listen to what you're trying to get across to them, and I was amazed at that.
This is like the most awesome story we've done. Amazing. Like Marlon with that emotional response about his father with that emotional response about his son. Like this, touches my heart.
Well, honestly, I almost shed a thug tear for real, because that is the same story as my Diddy, and he was my coach in AAU when I was younger. I think a lot of athletes, watching him sit up there, it's like, oh gosh, I don't want to even cry on set now, but it's that is the feeling, because the times where you didn't feel like it, the times where you doubted yourself, and my Diddy, my parents were like, "No, you're gonna make it. You're gonna be fine. It doesn't matter. You're small. I'm small, you guys." And
on top of that, not just the sports instruction, but the life instruction. A lot of cats got upset when Floyd Mayweather Jr. had that blow up with his dad on 24/7 back in the day. I think it was 2011. And they said Floyd should not be speaking to his father like that. When I saw that, it was obvious to me that there was a lot of baggage that needed to be unpacked between those two men pertaining to the real life instruction that Floyd felt like he was missing from his father. His father gave him all the tools to become a success in boxing, but none of the tools to make him a success in life. And Floyd was upset by that. Because at the end of the day, I think that Floyd blames that for some of the anger issues that he may have had, some of his inabilities to deal with the women in his life. These are instructional platforms that you have to impart upon your son, because those are going to be the main forms of pitfall or stumbling blocks. So, you have to open up dialogue with people when it comes to real issues. The scriptures also tell us, fathers, don't provoke your children to wrath, because you can do that if you're not on your P's and Q's. But just getting back to the point, even though the sister here, Renee Montgomery's taking more of the sporting angle, it's pretty obvious to me that Marlon Humphreys is so emotional because it's deeper than just his father being supportive of his football career or being, a very important aspect of instruction for his football career. It's also some of the life lessons they learned.
Life, but in basketball world, but they would tell me that, it doesn't matter how small you are, it doesn't matter what they're saying. So I know what he means by, they never let you, they knew what you wanted, so they didn't let you hear the outside noise. So yeah, y'all try to make me shed a thug tear on set today.
I know. By the way, we also asked Bobby, which I thought was another great question. So now that you have Marlon on record telling the world how important you are and have been and continue to be in his life, what are you expecting for Christmas this year now that he's got that $100 million contract? And this is what Bobby said.
Now, the most important question, and he's got a lot of money sitting around now. You gonna ask for a nice little gift or anything?
Well, a good friend of mine texted me and told me I deserve a really good Christmas gift. So I think I'm gonna put my Christmas list together early this year.
I love it. I love it so much. That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
What a great story. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. They seem like such a nice family, and I couldn't be happier for a nicer group of people. So congratulations to the Humphrey family. And yeah, I want to see Christmas. They better live stream on Instagram or something. I want to see the gift opening.
I'm gonna put my Christmas list together early this year.
But anyway, that's basically it on that, brothers. This is the end of the latest installment in the series Ecclesiasticus 3 and 5. Always remember the power that you have as a father to create moments in your child's mind that they're never going to forget. So peace.